Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Crashy, and today we're going to be diving into a deck list profile, a deck profile for the Dragapult, Zardpult, however you want to play it, however you want to call it. I know I just did a deck profile for Dragapult, and I was planning on doing a deck profile for Charizard, but I don't really like Grand Tree Charizard all that much in this format. I don't really love this format to begin with, but we're going to dive into this because I think that this is absolutely the deck that I'm going to be playing. In fact, I just played this deck to my locals and went 3-0 and, was like contending for first, whatever. I didn't look at the final standings, but went 3-0 in the locals, and I think it's really nice. Now, if you go look at the late night, I don't remember, 237, whatever it is, that's the skeleton for this. I'll probably put the link in the description, but I didn't quite like that list. I wanted to tech it out a little bit myself and kind of prepare, and we're going to talk about that list. So let's go ahead and start off with the profile. We have 4 Dreepy. Again, I got to keep them in the right spot. 3 Drakloak. Now I'm going to talk about every single piece of this deck. The Dreepy, our basic Pokemon, 70 HP, you can find with Buddy-Buddy Poffin to start this Dragapult line, and then 2 Dragapult. Going into the 3 Drakloak, you can see we only have 2 Dragapults. You're only going to make 1 or 2 of these in a game. You're using this as a consistency draw engine as well, because we do have the Recon Directive on the Drakloaks. Now, Recon Directive, if you're not familiar, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, you take 1 to the hand, you put the other at the bottom of the deck. So a lot of built-in draw. This helps you get around Budew. This helps you find the pieces that you're looking for, and it's really, really nice. Now, it wouldn't be a Pult Zard list without the Zard. So let's look at the Zard line. We have 2 Charmander, 1 Charmeleon, 2 Charizard. So you can very well see just by the counts, we're playing both of these. We need both pieces of this. We need to get the Drakloaks out. We need to have a bench of Drakloaks and going into Dragapult and building that up. But we also don't just have like a 1-1 line hoping to get the Charizard out. We have a 2-1-2 line guaranteeing that we get a Charizard out. So we're trying to get this down, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later. All right, moving into the next pieces, a fundamental part of what makes this deck good and what actually goes well in this deck as well. The 2 Budew. Budew with 30 HP, free retreat, Itchy Pollen for no energy. During your opponent's next turn, they can't play any item cards. You can sit behind this item lock and Recon Directive, search for pieces, find what you need to find, and establish your board, and I have done it, and it's great. Next, I have 2 different arts, so don't roast me, but the 2 Lumineon Vs, we're still hanging on to the Lumineon V with the Luminous sign. This is just options, early game to find the piece that you need, late game to find the piece that you need to close it out, and of course, we're going to be using that Sealstone package. But Luminous sign, when you play this Pokemon onto the bench, you can find a supporter. This is going to be our early Arvens. This is going to be finding the multiple tools we have. This is going to be finding our Lance to find additional dragons. We're going to talk about all of that in just a bit. We have a 1 of Fezandipiti. This is our draw support with Flip the Script. After one of your Pokemon was KO'd, you can obviously draw 3 cards. This gets us out of a bind, helps us find the right pieces. A 1 of Radiant Alakazam to finish off the Pokemon section. Alakazam comes out mid to late game, helps fix some of your math and get some KOs that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get. A really, really nice card, and the Radiant of choice for this list. All right, next we're going to be diving into our supporters. So we have the 4 of Arven. Again, Arven, phenomenal with these builds, the Buddy-Buddy Poffin, the Finding the Forest Sealstone, and other tools that we're going to be using. Really, really great choice. This is where I started to make some deviations and my own flavor to this deck list. As opposed to 3 Iono, we're only going to be running the 2, and we'll talk about why in just a bit. 2 Iono, this is early draw support potential. This is hand disruption later in the game. We have 2 Boss's Orders. This is guaranteed gusting. We want to make sure that we're, taking those 4 and maybe even 6 prize turns. Most likely 4 with a build like this without the Dusknors. So picking the right target, locking things if we need to. The 1 of Lance. This is search your deck for up to 3 Dragon Pokemon. This helps us. You can get any variation of this. There's times where I need 3 Drakloaks, boom, we get them out. There's times where I only have 1 Dragon, or 1 Dreepy down, so I grab a Dreepy and 2 Drakloaks, so I can set 1 down, evolve 1 into Drakloak, and then I can, on the next turn, make another Drakloak. Sometimes you grab 1 of each, the full line. It's really nice. Now, this is another a great card that's been played in Charizard-like decks. The Professor Turo scenario. This helps you, heal, take off liabilities like the Lumineon, get a damaged Charizard or Dragapult out of play, A really, really nice card. If they gust pull up your Radiant Alakazam with the 2 cost retreat, you can, you know, pull that out of the active if you, you know, benched it too early or something. Just a really versatile card that really helps you out. And another one of my personal favorite inclusions is the Colress Tenacity. This searcher deck for a stadium and an energy card. This helps me find the right energy attached for whenever I'm building my Dragapult. This helps me find the various stadiums that I have in the build, and we're going to talk about those. Again, this is definitely one of my own personal inclusions that I really like so far. So let's dive into the items. For Buddy-Buddy Poffin, this helps us get set up. This helps us bring out our Budews, our Charmander. Again, you really just want to get like 1 Charmander down. This helps us get our Dreepy, things of that nature. 2 Ultra Balls to find the very specific piece we need. Again, we're going to be drawing into a lot of things, so this deck doesn't necessarily rely too heavily on these items, but they're nice to have for whenever you can use them and find the specific pieces. 2 Counter Catchers. We don't mind being behind in this deck, and Counter Catcher is a great gusting option. Again, this is not unfamiliar to Charizard-like decks and Dragapult-like decks, so we like that. Only 2 rare candies. Again, we have full lines here. We don't have to use a ton of rare candies. We're not using a Dusknoir line. A couple rare candies help us get that Charizard out. Maybe a Dragapult if you can get it going early. It's a really great option. 1 of Nest Ball to help us find additional search. Just 1 of Tera Orb, find the right exact piece. Sometimes you have the candy in hand, you need to find the Charizard. 1 of Energy Search. This again finds the right energy, so you can go, you know, into the deck, grab your Psychic, attach it for that turn if you need it. 1 of Super Rod for a little bit of energy and Pokemon recovery. 1 of Night Stretcher for the exact same thing, and then my personal ace spec that I'm using, the Unfair Stamp. So in the kind of blueprint for this, the skeleton, the tournament placing deck, online tournament, they were using 3 Iono and a Hero's Cape. Not super excited about the Hero's Cape inclusion. I think that this deck does have some opportunities to play different ace specs, so I made a cut down to 2 Iono and 1 Unfair Stamp, so that's kind of my hand disruption, and no cape for me. So that's what I'm rocking right now. Now let's look at the tools. We have the Forest Sealstone, which goes with our Lumineons to find an individual piece. We have a Rescue Board and a Technical Machine Evolution. If we're not starting Budew and we have energy, we can just go Evo into 2 Drakloaks. It's a great option. I honestly don't use it very often. I have found that I don't actually use this card a lot, but it's perfect in the deck. You want to keep it in the deck so that way you can potentially pull that off if you're not able to get a Budew out, if you're not able to go Itchy Pollen. With if I haven't said it, this deck definitely wants to go second to try to get that attack off. Now, let's look at our stadiums. Jamming Tower, Collapsed Stadium, Temple of Sinnoh. Collapsed Stadium, very easy one to explain. You want to pull off the liabilities. You want to pull off the Fezandipiti. You want to pull off the Lumineon. Jamming Tower, Temple of Sinnoh are specific. This is for decks that use tools, ourselves included. We got to be a little bit careful with this one, but it's a Guardy counter in the current format. I think, you know, trying to tech for Guardy is great. Temple of Sinnoh, you know, Lugia is really, really nice. Temple of Sinnoh coming in clutch. So again, that extra flavor that I added for my Colress Tenacity, this helps us find the right one when we have it, when we can use it. We don't have, you know, Pidgeot Quick Search, so Colress Tenacity can sometimes help us find the correct stadium. As for our energy counts, we're going to be using 5 Fire, 2 Psychic. Definitely do a deck search on these. On your first deck search, know what your energy counts are. Whenever you're using the Infernal Rain, you know, you can grab 2 for Charizard, 1 for one of your Drakloaks or your Dragapult, and then you're going to have to find a way to get these out. So Colress Tenacity to get one of these out, Energy Search to get one of these out, having it in the hand, you know, you got to get that on your Dragapult. So that is the deck. It runs really, really well. I'm going to shuffle up and let's go through some test hands. I need to shuffle quite a bit, so let's see if I can do that. But the thing with this deck, and I guess I'll explain it while I'm shuffling a little bit, is that Dragapult is an incredibly strong attacker. And honestly, Charizard's early game is not very great. You're only hitting for 180. You don't really take a whole lot of stuff out. And so if you're not using that Dusk line, Charizard's not very good. So you kind of want to set up like 1 to 3 Dreepy, a Budew, you want to have a Charmander down, and you want to just work your way while item locking with Itchy Pollen. You want to work your way into getting the Drakloaks out, into using that additional Recon Directive draw engine to finding the pieces, finding your Rare Candy Charizard, and then attaching that third fire energy onto one of your Drakloaks, using the Tera Orb or an Ultra Ball or an Arven Lumineon Seal Stone, whatever you can do to build your bench. Take your time, build your bench, and then dive into, you know, playing the game and getting set up. All right, a decent amount of shuffles. Let's go on ahead and take a look at it. We'll do a test hand of 7. So let's see. All right, we have a mulligan. It does happen sometimes. That would have been a decent hand, but maybe a little bit too much energy for my taste, and we'll just do like a quick reshuffle. We'll get through at least one test hand for this video. 7. All right, we got a Dreepy down. Let's say we're going second, because that's what we would like to do. 1 prize, 2 prize, 3 prize on the evolution, 4 prize, 5 prize, 6 prize. Don't like to see that. A little bit heavy on the energy, especially considering we only have 2 of those. Start off with the Dreepy. Say we're going second. Going second, we have access to our Buddy-Buddy Poffin, and we have... Let's go ahead and play the Buddy-Buddy Poffin. So we can look and see if we have our rescue board. That means that we have the potential option to go Budew, Charmander off the Buddy Poffin. We can play that with our Arven. We can play another Buddy-Buddy Poffin, and we could either do, since we have energy in the hand, we could go for Basic Energy Evolution, which unfortunately is prized, so we would search for that potential option if we wanted to. We would see that it's prized, so we're going to go Rescue Board into Buddy-Buddy Poffin. We'll play the Poffin, and we're going to look to get out a couple of Dreepy. So we'll grab another Dreepy off of our Arven, play the Rescue Board, swap into the Budew. So now we have a bench that is 3 Dreepy, 1 Charmander. We're going to be Itchy Pollen to item lock them, and we're going to sit behind this board state. And if you look at our hand this next turn, and we'll also manual attach, make sure you manual attach. You can put it on whichever one you want. I like to use the Rescue Board to be a pivot option, so maybe not that one right away. If we look at our next turn, we're going to, you know, draw for turn. We're going to evolve into the Charizard, and we're going to go in and find energies. So we'll put, you know, 1 here, and let me see if I can find one more of my fires that I know is in here somewhere. Maybe not. There it is. So now we have all of our fires accounted for in good places, getting the Dragapults ready. Let's see a couple of those Dreepies, and if they killed our Budew, then we would probably be sitting on our rescue board Dreepy. So let's say they knocked out our Budew on that turn. We're sitting on our rescue board Dreepy, we set that up, and then look at our hand. We could go in for a Lumineon and you know, find the right supporter. We could go straight for a Lance this turn. So on this turn, we would play Lumineon, and let's look for Lance. And we have that Unfair Stamp in hand, so we're looking for this Lance that we know is in here. We play the Lance, and we're looking for Drakloaks. We go boom, boom, boom. Play the Lance and Unfair Stamp. So now we set down the Unfair Stamp. Shuffle up. We have 3 recon directives post Unfair Stamp. Maybe could get a Fezandipiti on the board if we felt we needed it. A lot of the time I don't want to overbench the Fezandipiti. So let's look at the hand. Okay, some supporters we can't use. Tera Orb we don't need. We already have the Dragapult, so we're building up now. So now we recon directive. 1, 2. We look, if it's Lugia, let's say we're playing Lugia. We take that. Recon directive here. 1, 2. Probably take the Iono. We don't really need the Ultra Ball. We have pretty much all of our necessary Pokemon pieces. Recon directive. 1, 2. And we whiff the... we're gonna go ahead and take the Radiant because we don't really need the Charmander. We whiff the Energy Search that we're looking for. We only had one of the you know, psychic energies in the deck. but we do have our Energy Search. So even though we use Lance this turn, we could probably just leave this Drakloak up here. We could swap out Swing and, you know, swap into the Charizard. We could Rescue Board and sack this Dreepy with this Drakloak with the Fire and keep the Rescue Board. We have options. Probably wouldn't be that one. It would be a little too early probably for the Radiant Alakazam. You know, like I said, we could drop the Sinnoh or make sure we save that for the right turn. And ultimately, we have options here, right? We could swap into the Charizard, take a KO. If we thought that was going to be an effective way to move ourselves forward, we could always, you know, Super Rod and retreat the Charizard back. I would probably, in this scenario, we don't mind falling a little bit behind. In this scenario, I'd probably, you know, go ahead and let the Drakloak die. You know, so we'd go down a couple prizes. And we know that we're most likely going to be looking to make a Dragapult. Depending on the right scenario, we might be going, depending on what we're facing up against, we might be going either which direction. So we promote there. Let's say we counter catcher the right target up. We counter catcher a target up because we're behind. And we recon directive. We might find the energy we're looking for. If we need a jamming tower, this would get us our energy. So say we need a jamming tower this turn. All right, we grab that. So maybe. Yeah, maybe we say we need the Colress just in case. Recon directive here. We might find what we're looking for. There's our jamming tower and our Energy Search. So now we could get both potentially, but we could always do that. Like say we want to hand disrupt, we can play the Energy Search. We're going to go in and find our Psychic. So now we have our Dragapult ready to go. Now that we have the Dragapult in hand, looking at our hand, we have some potential options. If their hand is big, we could always go for the Iono hand disrupt. We could go for the Colress to grab that jamming tower if we needed, but we probably would have taken the Iono, whatever else we didn't take, if we weren't going to do that Energy Search, which I actually think wasn't the Iono. I think it was an Ultra Ball. But we have options. We have a lot of options. If we need to fix some math later on, use Radiant Alakazam. And again, like we're built up, right? We're down a couple prizes, but Charizard doesn't mind that at all. And that's a little bit of how you would play this deck. So I really love this list. I took the blueprint off of the online tournament and I just tried to tech in a way that felt meaningful for the meta, for the format. So that's what I'm looking at. Friends, thank you so much for watching. Drop a like in the video, subscribe for future Pokemon TCG content. As always, be sure to be kind of one another, tell somebody you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.